So the raw food diet, also called the BARF diet, is a species-specific, biologically appropriate diet for dogs and cats. If you know me at all, you know how passionate I am about giving my animals their healthiest life. And feeding them a well-balanced raw diet is the cornerstone of great health for dogs and cats. In this video, we're going to look at what the benefits are of feeding a raw diet to dogs. We're going to see some of the specifics that you need to know if you are feeding a raw diet. And we're going to see how easy it is to formulate a raw diet for your dog. If you're interested in natural nutrition and you want to integrate a holistic approach in your dog and cat's health, then this is the right channel for you. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of our new videos, and keep in mind that I have a guide for you. You can find it linked below that you can work through either on your own or as you're watching this video so that you can easily formulate a diet for your dog. So let's talk about a BARF diet. What is it and what are the benefits? So a raw food diet, or BARF diet, and BARF actually stands for biologically appropriate raw food, is a diet that entails feeding meat, bones, organ meat, and possibly vegetables to your dog. As we have seen in a previous video, and if you haven't seen it, I'm going to link it up here for you, raw meat and bones and organ meat is biologically appropriate for dogs, and it's actually what your dog's body is made to digest and to get nutrients from. So it is as healthy as it can be for dogs. If you've Googled raw diet for dogs, you'll have come up with a few terms that can be a little bit confusing. We have the BARF diet, Prey Model Raw diet, Frank and Prey. It can be confusing and one doesn't know what to choose. They're actually not that different. So we saw that the BARF diet means feeding your dog meat, bones, organ meat, and some vegetables. The Prey Model Raw diet tries to mimic the prey that dogs would eat in the wild. So we know that dogs and wolves actually eat the meat, a little bit of the bones, the organs, and very, very little of the stomach and gut content of their prey. So we can safely assume that they will take no more than, say, 1 or 3% of plant matter in their diet. So the Prey Model Raw actually is exactly like the BARF diet. It uses the same percentages of meat, bones, and organs, but it does actually not feed as much vegetables, if at all. So those are the only two differences. Frank and Prey is just another word to mean the Prey Model Raw diet, because obviously, like Frankenstein, right, the monster that was put together by different pieces of different people in the very, very well-known movie. So Frank and Prey would be meaning taking pieces from different sources, for example, maybe the meat from lamb and maybe the bones from chicken, and putting them together to make the complete diet look like and mimic what the original diet would be for dogs in the wild. So basically, 3 different names to mean exactly the same diet. The greatest benefit of feeding a raw diet to dog is general improved health. Veterinarians have seen that dogs who are fed a well-balanced raw diet live longer lives, are more active and healthier in their older years, and they have lower inflammation markers. They also have shinier teeth, they have shinier coats, they shed less, and they are less active in the house, so a lot more peaceful in the house, and a lot more active when they're outside. So they have the energy to play and enjoy themselves outdoors, which is exactly what we want. Additionally, we have seen that a targeted, well-balanced raw diet can actually help alleviate some of the issues that you have with skin disease, heart disease, liver disease, kidney disease, and even cancer and epilepsy or seizures. So let's talk in practical terms. How can you formulate a raw diet for your dog? It's actually fairly simple. There are 4 things that you need to keep in mind. You need to figure out how much to feed. You need to figure out the right percentages to feed. You need to make sure that you're feeding enough fat. And then finally, you need to decide which supplements to add. Deciding how much food to give your dog is actually fairly straightforward. Your dog should eat 2 to 3% of her weight. Now, I tell my clients to start at 3%. This is because it's easier to plan the diet at 3%, start feeding it, and then if it's a little bit too much, you can always have a little bit left over at the end of the week. Versus if you start at 2% and then you realize your dog is hungry, maybe because it's more active than you expected, and then you have to scramble midweek to figure out what else to add to the diet. The other tip I can tell you is that if you don't know your dog's weight and you don't have the opportunity of weighing them at home, you can either go to your vet clinic and actually have your dog weighed there. Most clinics actually offer the service for free. Or if it's a breed dog, you can go and look what the ideal weight of your dog's breed should be and then use that. Once you have your dog's weight, you multiply that by 3%, and that gives you the total amount that you have to feed in one day. Let me give you an example of how I figure out how much to feed Iberia here. Iberia should weigh 6.8 kilo or 15 pounds. I just take 3% of that by multiplying her weight times 0.03, and I get 204 grams or 0.45 pounds, which is actually just 7.2 ounces. I then prep for this amount and usually split it into 2 meals. Once you figure out how much to feed your dog, you need to figure out how much of each ingredient you need to add to her diet. A well-balanced raw diet includes 80% meat, 10% bone, 5% liver, and 5% another secreting organ such as the spleen or a kidney. At this point, you can choose to source everything from the same animal. For example, Iberia here, when she eats lamb, I can get lamb meat, lamb ribs, and I can also get lamb liver and kidney. Or you can also source it from different animals. For example, lamb meat and rabbit ribs and rabbit liver. So this really depends on your local supplier or your online supplier, what they have available. And it can also depend on your dog if she has allergies or intolerances that you need to be careful with. Once you figure these percentages out, then you want to look at the fat content of the food and make sure that it's up around 15%. I show you in this video how to calculate what the fat percentage is in your dog's diet and then how to add to it if it's necessary. And I also talk about some of the appropriate sources of fat. So go ahead and check it out if you weren't sure. The next thing that you need to decide is whether you're going to feed vegetables or not. We at Micol and Other Animals choose to follow what wild wolves and feral dogs actually eat in nature, which is very, very little plant material. So we never feed more than, say, 3% of our dog's diet in the form of vegetables. To figure out how much you need to feed, again, you can go back to the original amount. So for Iberia, we said 204 grams or 7.2 ounces and take 3% of that, and then you can add it. You can also add animal fur or skin to your dog's diet, kind of as a more natural form of fiber, but again, keep it pretty low. If you are just starting out, I would totally skip this and think about it later. If you've gotten to this point of the video and you're wondering, okay, this sounds easy, but it's really not that simple, keep in mind that I have a guide for you that you can download, and I put the link down below, so that you can follow through the video, or you can actually work on it on your own so that you can step by step formulate a raw diet for your dog. When you're through with that, if you want to make sure that you've done the right thing, then remember that I actually offer free strategy sessions for pet owners just like you. You can book them directly on Facebook and on Instagram, and in 20 minutes we can go over what you've done and I can give you a couple of tips to get you started and going in the right direction. Okay, so let's talk about supplements. There are different opinions on supplements. What we subscribe to at Micol and Other Animals is that we should be able to offer as natural nutrition as possible, and supplements should only be used when there is a specific condition that you need to take care of. So the greatest thing that you can do is to actually offer diversity in your dog's diet. What does that mean? It actually means offering different kinds of meat from different animals, and it also means getting it from different suppliers. Okay, so deep breath, that was a lot. Let me give you a little bit of a rundown of the things that you need to remember. So feeding a raw diet, you need to figure out how much to feed, 2 to 3% of your dog's weight. You need to make sure it has 80% meat, 10% bone, 5% liver, and 5% of another secreting organ. Make sure it has 15% fat, and decide whether you want to add veggies and supplements. Now, stay tuned for our next video because we'll talk about some of the specifics of each ingredient so that you can actually better choose what's right for your dog. And also stay tuned because we also have a video coming up on what are some of the specific supplements for some of the issues that your dog can have. I am excited that you're going to be able to feed your dog such a healthy diet. You're going to see the benefits in no time. All right. I'm going to see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Give a kiss to your animals. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.